Everyone. Different face up here today. I'm Lindsay, I'm the administrator. I believe I've met all of you. Obviously, I support Tyler in his absence, as I hope you all were made aware or able to see a photo that Tyler was able to, with his wife and his family, welcome their second child, Henry Gudex. Almost 2 weeks ago tomorrow at 2:44 in the afternoon. So, healthy baby boy. He's getting a sports team going on here, filling in for the Green Bay Packers, you know, with two baby future sports fans. So, we've got a packed agenda today, a lot of updates. With the upcoming holiday season amongst us, we're 7 days away from Thanksgiving. Hard to believe. But also it looks like we're going to be 7 days away from Christmas at the rate the snow's going out there. So first I'm going to welcome Kathy Johnson for a resident council update.
Oh, excuse me here. Oh my goodness, we have that mic.
Yes.
Look at this, real professional. How is everybody? Smiles? Oh, good. Okay. I didn't think I'd have much of anything. The council just met this morning. We usually have a week in between, but I do have quite a long list. First of all, I see Eric will be addressing the noise. It's always on our agenda as the noise. And you who are familiar with it, this is directed to you, and I want to thank Richard Knadler, a member of the council, because he has been working with Eric over time, and Eric came to our meeting today, and he'll be addressing it also here. So I just wanted to thank Richard for working with that with Eric, and making sure that you get information. Composting, also wanted to let you know, if you haven't heard, composting is suspended. Eric, I don't know if you're talking about that, but composting is suspended for right now. I don't know about everybody else, but we have a horde of little flies, and we don't keep any food out. So I don't know, why. And I cover my coffee cup, because they like to come into my coffee cup. But anyway, we'll suspend composting and keep you updated as we do some new stuff and restart that program. Christmas at the Castle, I know Mike's going to talk about that. Again, here I just want to thank the people who are working on Christmas at the Castle. It with sort of changeover in lifestyle committee and the construction. Christmas at the Castle, if you've not been here, is really quite a spectacular event. Wouldn't you who have been here a while? It's really very nice. And there'll be some modifications because of all that's going on, but people are working very hard to make it as much like our traditional castle at the Christmas at the Castle. So I want to thank all the people who have involved themselves with that. That's really great. Now, we didn't talk about this at Wellness. I should have, but as chair of the Wellness Council, I will say this is going to come from the Wellness Council. And that is, I want to make sure that you all take very good care of yourselves now as we go through the holidays and the winter. We have COVID out there, we have flu, we have RSV, which generally affects children, but it can affect adults and can be serious. So we have all of these infectious diseases that we need to make sure that as we enter into situations where there are crowds of people or people that you don't know, that you are taking measures to make sure you protect yourself from those infections. Remember all those things with distancing, hug people only, like in your family. Don't be real generous with your hugs, even hand shaking. So make sure that you are doing those things to protect yourself from picking up viruses in these places that you're going to. It's really important because for us, we're more at risk of having a serious episode of flu or pneumonia, RSV, COVID, because we have other conditions going on. So we need to take those measures that we can take. And I know we get excited about going out and meeting people, and isn't this great? But we need to be very careful so that we don't bring home viruses here. I know that's what's been on Roy's and my mind a lot, so is making sure, Roy always says, in fact, he says he would feel terrible if somebody got an illness because he got an illness somewhere and brought it home. So just take those steps to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Let's see, lifestyle committee, we want to make a little bit more, we want to expand that committee, the membership of the lifestyle committee, so that we get many voices to be reaching out to you about what you want for activities, and to help you to be active in doing activities or leading activities. So if you think you'd be interested in participating in that process, please come to one of our meetings. They're every other Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Right now we're meeting in the Creativity Center. Of course, who knows what happens with meetings. So, but we'll try to make sure it gets on the calendar. I am hoping that we can have at least 10 to 12 residents on that committee. And right now there are about a half a dozen. So, and we particularly, I would be looking for, I don't know why, maybe this just appeals to my sense of order, but I would like to see people from across this place so that we have not just people from one area of apartments, but that we have people from all over. And right now there's only one member who resides in historic. So, yes, Marion. So I'd really be looking particularly to people who live in historic to look to see if maybe come and sit with us at a meeting. And we really want to do a lot of brainstorming about reaching out to everybody to find out what you would like to do. It's so important to hear your ideas come to us. And we hear complaints, right? We hear a lot of complaints. Complaints aren't real helpful. What we really need is to hear what you really want. I would like a larger committee because I think the more that the committee can do, the more that takes some of the load off of Stacy, who has, she's got all the other units that she needs to worry about with activities. We're independent residents. We can be doing some of the planning, some of the groundwork, so that we are really being more involved in the process. I think it can be really exciting and fun to do. So I hope that you will either give me a call, Barbara Hill also is on that committee, so that we can really get a program going that meets more of our needs, is what we're looking for. And also to tap into the talent that we have here. Dale Snyder has presented, Rita Bacalar's, her program was very enjoyable. People really liked it. We will be starting again the justice course, the Harvard Justice course. Will be starting, we'll have the opportunity to have 6 of those lectures in January and February. Then in February, we'll see how many people are taking part And if we're interested in going on when this room closes, that we can find a location. Those of you who have, how many of you sat in on the Harvard Justice course when we first did it? Okay, a few people. And people have been asking and asking and asking because it was it's a very enjoyable thing, presented by Harvard professor Dr. Michael Sandel. He gives a 40-minute lecture, and then we have discussion about these issues. And it's ethical. It's really ethical issues that we can think about and that affect us in our life. So we'll be looking to restart and have at least 6 of those before this room closes. And I know people, and we'll be starting it over, so that we'll go back to episode 1, to lecture 1, so that if you missed it, you won't have to miss the whole thing. So, any questions for me? If not, we'll move on to Eric.
Thank you, Kathy. You did touch on a couple of the agenda items that were on my list, so I appreciate that. So we touched on one of the questions was the horde of fruit flies related to the compost bin. We know that's on a temporary shutdown. We'll reevaluate that at a later date. The next question presented was, would you like to see, or excuse me, someone would like to see that the carpet in elevators C and D be replaced with tile that can be cleaned more thoroughly and regularly. And yes, it's a great point. Actually, we are already in the process of doing that. The tile was looked at and chosen earlier this week, and it was put on order. So at this time, we're waiting for the flooring to come in. That flooring will be put in the 3 elevators that are in Bradford Terrace, including C and D, and then we'll probably save a little extra for E and F when we get to that point down the road. But that would be all the elevators so they look consistent. When we get to that point, we'll probably send out some letters so we can manage the shutdowns and such, and we'll do it on off hours so it doesn't really impact you all as much as we're able to. Next question, what is happening with the noise abatement for the roof of Bradford Terrace? High-pitched, constant drone, extremely annoying. That's what I addressed at resident council this morning. I would imagine it'll be disseminated from there, kind of some of the more in-depth discussions. Up here, it's kind of going to be a small piece, so I'll let resident council disseminate that down, and if there's any further questions, we'll address it there.
I think we just wanted people to know, yes, something's being done, and we will let them.
Oh, and I echo your point. Richard's been wonderful.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff, there's no easy solution. If something's broken, it's an easy fix. You can manage what the problem is. In the instance where the unit is running as it should, then it's trying to mitigate it in other ways, and that's kind of a process you want to walk through because there's a lot of different avenues you can go down. Next question was, the bright lighting in Bradford Terrace is nice and uplifting. Can the historic and contemporary hallways be made brighter? In a simple answer, probably not in the moment. But what I would encourage is if you're the one that submitted the question, you have specific areas that the lighting is especially dim, you definitely want to let me know of those areas and I can look at it with you. I know as an example, we had one in the contemporary stairwell, which I believe would be our east stairwell over here. Someone complained that was too dim. And that was during the time that people were using that exit very regularly to get out to the gazebo courtyard. So we added a brighter light there. We just essentially replaced what was there with a brighter light. So I'm familiar with the requests from stairwells, but if you see it somewhere else, certainly reach out, let me know, and I can address it with you on an individual basis. The last question I have is, lights are always on in the offices, hallways, etc. Good for security, but too much money. Lighting's a funny thing. It doesn't give me a lot of context, so I will assume some of that is relative to Bradford Terrace. And so that is a temporary situation. The contractors are working through waiting for a controller. So the lights were permanently on. So the controllers, they've been rewiring it over the past 2 weeks, and they have some of the areas working, and they're working, I would assume probably next week or so here, that it'll be finished. And some of that's just letting controllers to dim the lights as necessary and or timing, based on the timer, you can turn it off in the evenings so that we're not wasting that sort of money. But on the plus side, when it comes to lighting nowadays, so much of it is LEDs that the wattage you were once using it's so much less than it once was. A 75 watt bulb, imagine that, is probably the amount of power it takes to power your entire home as far as lighting is concerned. You got to remember, a 75 watt light bulb, fluorescents are roughly about 11 or 13 watts, and LEDs are 2 to 4 watts. So you could light up your whole house and it would be the equivalency of one light bulb. And even if you imagine TVs are the same way nowadays. So we're using quite a bit less when it comes to that. The unfortunate part is that the cost is covered up for that. So the cost of electric's gone up so much it kind of balanced itself out there a little bit. So that is that controls, but as far as anywhere else in the building, there are a couple areas that are on timers to shut down at night to a certain degree, but we're cautious about doing too much of that because we really don't want to mitigate egress paths during the evenings. If there were a situation that arose, an emergency, we needed to use an egress path. Also, we have residents that do, make their way around the buildings at later hours. We certainly don't want to shut down the lighting in those areas and impede their progress or, cause us any sort of tripping or falls that might occur. Other than that, those are the questions that were presented for me. The other additional items I'd like to add is, as we're all painfully aware, winter is back here again. Just a reminder, be cautious when you're outside. Be thoughtful when you're going out as to the footwear you're wearing, and if you really need to make that run or meet that appointment for the day. Today's not so bad, but there's days where we get quite a bit of snow, and really a lot of cases that entire day is really not a great idea to be out there. Even though it's being cleaned up, some areas are cleaned up and some areas aren't. We're responsible for cleaning those areas up here as quickly as we can. Our process is varying priorities of, we have a 2-man crew. One crew member goes out and runs the skid loader in the parking lots. So we're clearing the parking lots simultaneously with clearing the sidewalks. The second crew member is doing the sidewalks, and then they both salt and then kind of check the last final areas. So just be aware of the process, and I can't stress enough, if you see something that doesn't look safe, don't assume that we know it. We do rounds. Even when it's not snowing, we go out and do rounds in the morning of the sidewalks to make sure if we see salt or an icy patch, we throw salt on it. But make sure we know. If you see something that looks unsafe, please let us know. I'd rather attend to it in that moment rather than an actual injury or accident. And then also know that I would say almost all of our main entrances are going to have a salt pail next to it. It's a beige bin. When you step on it, it opens. We keep calcium chloride in there with a little shovel, if you will, or scoop. And you can just throw it out there if you see something that really you think needs immediate attention. And that goes, we tell the same message to our staff as well, just to be a little bit more cautious during the winter months. All right, that's all I have. Next up here is going to be Mike Brever. Thank God I didn't have to follow him. I only had to see him.
Thank you, Eric. For those of you that were wondering, yes, Eric and I actually own the same style sport coat. It's not the same sport coat, so we don't just trade it off back and forth. We actually own the same style. We apparently both shop at Kohl's, I guess. That's what it comes down to. I just have a couple things for you today. The only thing on the agenda is Christmas at the Castle, but I have a couple other things than just that. First of all, if you head down to the administrative wing on the first floor of Bradford Terrace, you're going to see a really nice sign on the left side. It says Carolyn Newell Health Clinic. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go down there and take a look at it. Ultimately, it will be fully stocked up. It's not yet. We jump-started the clinic by putting the sign up. And the clinic itself will come shortly. But we're very grateful to Carolyn for helping us see that about. For those of you that would like to learn how things like that happen, come and see me. I'd be happy to talk with you about that. Second of all, you will be receiving a letter on your ledges within the next day or two from Joanne Kauth, an update on the Employee Appreciation Fund. You all know from previous letters of Joanne's that the actual collection ends on June 30th. I'm sorry, November 30th. You don't have half a year. You have about a week and a half. November 30th, it ends. The reason for that is that we distribute the funds to the hourly employees on the last payroll before the holidays. And in order to do that, we need to know how much money we have available for distribution. And so November 30th is the last that we can do that. If anybody donates after November 30th, your money does not go into the general fund or the Mike Brever lunch fund or something like that. The funds are held until next year and the 2023 Employee Appreciation Fund. If you donate to the Employee Appreciation Fund, it goes to the Employee Appreciation Fund. Again, though, Joanne will be sending a letter out to all of you, which will be giving you an update. We have a ways to go to get to where we were last year. I will leave it up to her. I know she will be asking you all to be generous, but that's where we are right now. On the agenda, if you have one in front of you, is Christmas at the Castle. For those of you that aren't aware of it, Christmas at the Castle actually kicked off here at East Castle almost 3 weeks ago. There have been a crew of elves working up on the second floor of the Contemporary in the former beauty salon. They are getting all of the holiday items set aside and ready for our holiday sale. They also are preparing raffle baskets. I think this year we're going to have a dozen of them. My information is that they are a wonderful assortment of things that all of you are going to want to win. The actual price and things like that of raffle tickets, I'm not the one making the decisions, otherwise I would report on that now. It will be available for you within a week. There's also a throwback to about 2 or 3 years ago. We're going to have a silent auction as well. And that will be available during Christmas at the Castle. That's going to take place on the second floor balcony of the Contemporary, up by my office. I believe that sale, the raffles, the silent auction will all kick off on Thursday, December 1st. It ends on Saturday, December 3rd. It'll be staffed by the same elves that are putting it all together right now. Cash or credit cards are acceptable for any of the purchases. There will also be the traditional holiday fair that we typically have. Our community life department has done their world famous cherry pickles. The recipe is in fact secret, but I can tell you there are no cherries in it. How they do it, I just don't know. But it's the cherry pickles will be for sale in the balcony as well. We do have some nice logo items. We have Christmas ornaments with the castle relief on it. We also have winter neck scarves available for people. And we have East Castle Place wine that will be for sale up in the balcony as well. Again, we will have that staffed during the times that we have the sale ongoing, and all of it will be available for cash or credit card. On Sunday, December 4th, is the real, the focal point of the activities for Christmas at the Castle. There is, in fact, the Castle Choir is going to be doing a concert with you. It will be a sing-along, in contrast to the traditional type things that we used to do. We will adjourn after that, and we'll be going into the dining room. From there, we will have appetizers, holiday drinks, and things like that. And we will call the winners for the raffles and announce the silent auction winners and things like that. A real festive day for everybody. I believe earlier in the day on the 4th, for the lunch period, and I'm hoping Majarka is going to make eye contact with me. We have a buffet that day.
We have a brunch.
A brunch, okay. And that will precede the concert.
Correct.
And then the concert goes right into the appetizers and announcement of the winners and things like that. So a full day of activities. We hope you all have a great time. One final item. That's Sunday, December 4th. Monday, December 5th. although it's not cast in stone, everything is subject to change. It's possible you won't find me where I am right now. I believe when I take Christmas at the Castle out of the second floor balcony, I think the entire second floor balcony is shutting down, which means my office will be relocated. For those of you that know where Pastor Harold is, on the second floor of Historic, I'm going to be right above him. So I will be, if you're ever in Pastor Harold's office talking to him, and you hear someone, pounding on the floor, that will be me trying to make sure that, you and Harold stay alert and are doing good things there. Any questions that I can answer for anybody? Yes, sir.
Could you tell us more about the clinic and what the staffing is going to be?
I wish I could, and I'm going to defer to Lindsay, who may have an update for you, but I'm going to tell you what I believe is going to happen. I don't believe it's going to be staffed 24 hours a day, which is one of the reasons we've moved assisted living from Water Tower over to Bradford Terrace. All of our nurses and CNAs will now be under one roof. So you will check potentially at the front desk if you're an independent living resident and say, I'd like to see a nurse. And they will send one down to meet you in the clinic. Am I close? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're in the ballpark there.
Okay.
The service model for the clinic has not been, I would say, set in stone yet, because we want to make sure that every resident gets a flyer, a pamphlet, essentially showing what you would go to that clinic for. Again, if you fall, you need stitches. That would not be for the clinic, for example. That would require an actual ER visit or going to an urgent care where a physician can see you. Dr. Ramanujan and Emily, our medical director and his nurse practitioner, many of you have inquired to Teresa about having him become your new primary care physician, and he would be able to see you in that clinic. Again, for just your standard checkup. Certain items that would require a physician assistant, a nurse practitioner, or from a hospital standpoint, you still would need to go out for. But we will have that full model presented to you, likely at the start of the new year, of what that looks like for hours, what staffing looks like in there, as well as what services can be provided. So stay tuned.
Okay. Any other questions for philanthropy? Hearing none, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay Bigut.
I think
right?
prior to Majorca gets debut.
It's okay, Mike.
I'm going to turn it over to Macharka.
We don't have meetings. Hi guys, how are you? Good. So, if you guys have peeked through the little windows, it's starting to finally look like a dining room. We are super excited. On Monday, they are going to be taking down part of the wall, which means we can finally serve you guys in the dining room again, which we cannot wait for. So if you guys saw, behind the State of the Castle agenda was a little bit of a timeline for how things are going to play out for the next 2 weeks. So tonight is actually our last buffet in Lindsay Hall. I know everybody's sad to see Lindsay Hall go, but we're very happy to be right across the hall where we need to be. From Friday through Thanksgiving, we're going to go back to just the strictly takeout and to go. The reason for that is we need some time to learn the dining room, set the dining room, and get ready for service with you guys. So then next week, Tuesday, we are going to do a soft opening for the members of the resident council and the food and beverage committee. So if you happen to see other people dining Tuesday, please know that it's only for those individuals. We need to start with a small audience so we can build up from there. If you guys all came right away on Tuesday, I know it would not be a fun experience for anybody. So please know that it's just those select folks so we can learn. On Wednesday, starting at 4 o'clock. We're gonna have an open house for everybody. We want you guys to come and touch and feel the space and see what it's all about. We will have some wine, some beer, and we'll have some appetizers for you all. We will still have the standard takeout and delivery dinner that evening because what we're serving you won't be a full dinner. Then we're to Thursday. Construction promise, we would be having Thanksgiving dinner in the dining room. And that is what we're going to do. So Thursday will be our official kind of first service in the dining room with all of the residents. You guys have all probably seen some of the communication about Thanksgiving in the mailroom. We want to make sure that we have reservations by next week, Tuesday. If you're not wanting to come down to the dining room, there was some other information about making sure to place your order ahead of time, and the menu and everything is in there. Then we're going to take the weekend off to kind of regroup after those first couple days and figure out what we need to fix, because we know we're going to have a couple things that we tweak. So we officially will be open for dinner service forever, I'm going to say, on Tuesday, November 29th. With that, we are going to require some reservations because we need to kind of get back into the flow of things. Everybody has seen we have a lot of new staff. So serving a buffet in Lindsay Hall is much different than doing plated dinner service. So I ask for your patience while we learn the new dining room and the servers remember how to kind of go about that process. That Monday before we open, on the 28th, right here in Lindsay Hall at 3 o'clock, myself and Tanya will have a little dining update where we're just going to kind of go over the norms of dining again. Reservations, how lunch service is going to look, the menu that we're going to offer, and things like that. Then, down the road, we are going to plan a grand opening for the dining room. When you see this space, you will see how gorgeous and beautiful it is, but it's not quite finished. We're still waiting on our linens to come in, artwork to get hung up, so we don't want to have a grand opening until it's finished. So we will plan for that once we have some dates of all of those final install items. So that is the nice, exciting update I have. Does anybody have questions about dining? No? Wonderful. Well, we're excited to see you next week. Thank you.
I know, everyone cheers when food is involved. I agree. And I will say, Majorca and her team put on a wonderful spread of food, of all the Thanksgiving fixings for our staff yesterday, and 11 out of 10. So I highly recommend that you eat in the dining room or get it to go, because the stuffing was delicious. So, now on to some construction updates and then a few questions that were proposed to me. Just piggybacking off of what Majorca was talking about with the art. So the art installers will be on site November 28th, that week, for a few days. And they will be installing several items for the dining room, as well as some hallway items, and then some items in Bradford Terrace that need to be moved around and so on, that were not completed on the first time that they were here. So that will be in 2 weeks. Then, as many of you know, we have new residents living in the first and second floor of Bradford Terrace. We had the city inspection where they gave us approval for 10 of the apartments over there, though we are still waiting on 8 more to be approved at this time. We are waiting for a second strobe to be installed in their bathroom for these north side apartments. So those residents are still residing in their water tower apartments at this time. So conveniently, we've been trained for, goodness, I don't know, prior to me coming here, of running back and forth and operating between these two entities. So from a service model, we have not seen any hiccups in that, but if you do see, obviously, fewer residents over there, there are still residents at this time. And they will be moving, probably after Thanksgiving, a week or two after, and we'll finally be all over on first and second floor of Bradford Terrace, which will be awesome. And upon that completion, will then result in all of Water Tower being shut down. So that being said, it will be not accessible from anywhere other than the Lakeshore or the Lake Drive entrance. But again, we do not want anyone going in that entrance. It will be bold, bright. Please do not go in there because it will be a complete construction zone. And again, the double doors that connect Historic to Water Tower, those will all have a 3-hour fire rating, be state inspected essentially in order to be a closed entity. In order for safety of all of us in these other buildings, as well as for us not to interfere with the work that they are doing. Because again, they will be completely redoing that building and structures and walls. As Mike alluded to, December 5th is an exciting day. After State of the Castle, we will be starting on the second half of our commons and corridor. So what does that mean? How this wall right now is, we're going down the right side of this narrow hallway, walking towards the front desk. We're going to be transitioning to the left side. So that will all be switched over. It'll probably take, I'd say, close to a week in order for the construction team to get that safe and completely walled and sealed so that they can start their demolition. Likely those couple weeks after December 5th. With that being said, that would result in, again, as Mike mentioned, that upper area where we'll have the upper balcony in Contemporary where the salon and Mike's office is and the boardroom will no longer be accessible and will also be sealed off. And that will also have a nice line going down into the vestibule and the circle drive right here that will not be accessible. So all entrances will need to be rerouted into the parking lot entrance off of Bradford. So a memo will go out about that. I have one crafted for tomorrow, as well as obviously one next week and so on, as dates are subject to change. Right now we're in a fluid process, again, knowing the holidays, knowing moving parts, again, getting reacclimated in that dining room space. Things to note though that are important are this room will be remaining open for likely into the spring. This room is not tentatively going to be touched until March, if not a little after that, because we need this space. So it's a very versatile space. We work out in here, we read books in here, we play the piano, we watch movies, and we all meet together and talk about important topics. So this will be one of the last rooms in the likely entire project to get completely updated. Again, when they do the corridor hallway here with the tiling, they will have to get some of the seams to enter and exit, but that will be only a minor inconvenience of perhaps a day or two. If any of you have noticed, the Creativity Center has been vacated of a lot of items and is now being transitioned to our new makeshift workout fitness center. So Willie and Scott and his team are moving important equipment items that were requested by you all into that fitness center, or makeshift fitness center of the Creativity Center. And then the remainder of those that are still usable and would like to be kept moving forward are being moved to an off-site storage unit that we have rented as a community. That being said, the pool was a question that has come up, and what does that look like for timeline of when can I take my last swim? The pool will be closed on November 27th. And construction is going right in there, and that also will be all sealed off as the fitness center is vacated, and it will not be accessible. The pool will be drained on the 28th by our construction team, but how convenient that the 28th is the first day that we get to go to Shorewood Pool with our staff over there. And if any of you have ever swam over there, it's very nice. I have personally. So I think you will enjoy it. We will make the commute there and back through the winter as warm and as comfortable as possible. And then last few items on construction. I know there was conversations, and even I misspoke about it. Oops. But I got the right answer now. They will be laying concrete in the courtyard before the ground fully freezes. It feels like today that we're stepping in that direction, but that is the plan for concrete to be laid at this time. And then also November 28th, the salon will be open in Bradford Terrace in the lower basement level. So if you go down Bradford Terrace first floor and take the elevator to the lower level in the basement, the new salon will be up and operational. We will have a new schedule posted because again, that will be servicing the entire community at this time. But that will be November 28th. And then the last thing on November 28th, and that week will be construction occupying the Bradford Terrace garage. I'm sorry, not the Bradford Terrace garage, the water tower parking garage underneath. So if any of you did park there, I know you have been very gracious in accommodating and moving to the Bradford Terrace underground parking, and we very much so appreciate that because scaffolding and supplies will be going up in order for the construction team to occupy that building entirely. So, any questions on construction before I move on to COVID?
Lindsay,
Yes.
will the mailroom stay open once that wall switches to the opposite side?
The mail room, that is a great question. I believe it will, but I need to find out, and please read that in your memo, and I can 100% confirm that. But the mail office is operated by the Postal Service, so we don't have jurisdiction essentially over that room. So I do anticipating it remaining right there. Yes, Lynn.
I was going to ask that about the mailroom.
Great question.
Also, the general store, when will it be moving?
So the general store, Majorca, Eric and I just walked through that this week. It will be open when the corridor switches. Again, it will be a different type of service model and how we're offering general store hours. Because again, that will be, it's a similar product, but an upgraded product that will take some time and coordination and probably a soft opening of logistics before we fully open up the general store.
Where?
And that is right in between, it will be between the front desk and the dining room. It's a brand new space, it's very beautiful. Any other questions on construction? Awesome. So COVID, as Kathy mentioned, it is very much still around. There are different strains of the flu going around and RSV. I really want to encourage you to, be aware of your symptoms. RSV is a cold, and it's, a heavy cold that can lead to a deep cough, something that feels normal this time of the year because last week 70 degrees and sunny, and today we're in the snow. And there have been increased cases in an aging population as well as children. So again, our best line of defense, hand washing, using the hand sanitizers, and hand washing again. And again, social distancing and just monitoring your body, see how it feels. It's now the time to coop up, I'd say, because the weather's getting cold. If you're not feeling well, give Teresa Jenkins a call as well as stay in your apartment. And at this time, we only have one resident who is positive for COVID, and we have one staff member. Both are unrelated. Both have very mild symptoms as well, that more cold-like symptoms. So again, if you were in contact with either one of these individuals, you were directly contacted through contact tracing. But at this time, we feel the exposure was minimal. And, to be aware again that when you go out in public, recommending to wear a mask, especially with all these different illnesses going on, and us being more susceptible to them and being in a communal population like this. So moving on to my questions, the first one here is, what is the procedure to make an appointment with the psychologist? He is not on the list in the mailroom with the other healthcare providers. Great question. So Dr. Mark Eberhage is our psychologist that services our assisted living, CBRF, as well as our health center. Dr. Mark comes in on a monthly basis as well as needed to visit residents because he does have his own practice with other providers in the community. If you would like to see Dr. Mark, he is more than willing to come to your apartment. What you do need is you need a doctor's order from your primary care physician recommending this. And then upon receipt of that, if you want to get in contact with Teresa Jenkins, she can be the liaison in order to get a hold of Dr. Mark Everhart, because he is in the building enough, and we want you to feel supported. If you need someone to talk to or go through, different scenarios with, so. And then next question, poor proofing and poor grammar on all printed communications to IL residents. Dates, times, menus. We are working on it. Is how I can go about that. We do appreciate that feedback. We try and get out as much communication to you as possible. And, human error absolutely happens. I will not deny that. And again, just some adjustments with the time of the year and so on. But we appreciate the feedback, and we will be more diligent in proofreading our communications that are sent out to you. And then my last question, what are the plans for renovating the fitness center? Will it be expanded in any new equipment? And we will continue, or with any new equipment, sorry. My question has a little more on my other one. So again, the fitness center and what's it gonna look like in equipment. The fitness center will be essentially looking completely different layout and setup than what it does now. It will be brand new. The only thing that is essentially staying structurally in that area is the pool. Again, the pool is being completely updated as well. New lining, new flooring, the walls, the lights, it's gonna be beautiful. And then we will still have additional locker rooms and showers. I know that was a request. And then we will have more of a open space that is for those group fitness activities, as well as extended space for, if you need to see Willie or Melicia in their office space, or else have a specific area to operate the equipment. So again, if you look at that space now, there seems to be a lot of storage down there, offices, the front entrance into Water Tower. All of those are going to be moved around and essentially reconfigured to make the most optimal fitness space for you, so that we're not necessarily having to do a group fitness class in Lindsay Hall. We can do it in the actual fitness center. And in regards to the equipment, there will be some new equipment. There was equipment that was recently purchased for the fitness center that we are going to keep. But yes, that was budgeted for construction to have new fitness equipment, weights, and so on. So it'll be a beautiful space, really nice bathrooms, and a lovely pool to experience. Yes?
Will the architectural plans be shared or put up somewhere for that space?
So the question was, can the architectural plans be shared or put up for that space? I can look into that. I don't see it as an issue to put it up at all, but I will double check with the powers that be on that space, and we can share that with you all of what it looks like. So,
Is the letter from the doctor to see the psychologist because of insurance?
yes, he does see, he is able to bill insurance. The question was, is the letter from the doctor to see the psychologist because of insurance? And the answer is yes. He is able to bill insurance. Otherwise, it would be a private pay psychologist cost, which, if any of you have ever had private pay therapy versus how it's billed through your insurance, it's a lot more. And usually most insurances are covered, or at least have a smaller copay to see a psychologist. So I would either talk to your insurance, call a representative on the back of your card, as well as in speaking with Dr. Mark, we can also look into that as well. Yeah, Jackie.
Where will Michael be able to play the piano? eventually?
Great question. We are playing musical pianos, and we will be moving a piano either into the lobby or up to the second floor or third floor of Bradford Terrace. We have many pianos. A couple of them are going to go into storage, obviously temperature controlled and so on, because we have more than the space than we have to offer. But yes, there will be piano use as we have many residents who enjoy it. Thank you. Yes?
Yeah, getting back to the athletic area, will the new design create a more secure situation? Because people can come in off the street in the current, where it is right now, and kind of surprise you. So I just wondered if the new situation will be more secure.
Yes. So the question was, is the new situation of the fitness center with that water tower entrance going to be more secure? The answer is yes. That area, in terms of the doors, are being upgraded. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, or what the door is. I don't believe, though, it will maintain the sliding door entering and exiting that area, more like a reception, because it will be residential apartments that people will be coming into, as well as the door to get into the fitness center. That also will be more secure as well.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Thinking about the fact that the psychologist is billable, would it be possible to have a nurse practitioner in the clinic that would be billable so that people could see them?
So the question was regarding a nurse practitioner in the clinic that would be able to be billable. Not unfortunately, I don't want to start with that, but having a nurse practitioner be billable it would have to be under a separate LLC and more of a probably practitioner group that would be contracted out in that area. The community itself would not be able to do that internally. It's something that we've always kind of tossed around of what a nurse practitioner here would look like. But, there's obviously benefits as well as negatives that would come with that. Because, what are the hours? What is that person doing in their off hours? Is it appointment based? Is it they are here for 8 hours? What happens in the evening and so on? But at this time, that is not an option. It is, though, however, to have Emily, our nurse practitioner who works with our physician, Dr. Ramanujan, be in that clinic, perhaps on Thursdays, as she is here, if we wanted to have scheduled appointments, similar to what you're referring to, that she would be able to bill, write prescriptions, and so on, because it has to fall under a certain DEA license, as well as a physician license they work under. There's a lot of legalities that go into that in order for it to be a billable process through our insurance. Great question. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'll let you out of here 5 minutes early. I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving and eat too much food and spend time with each other and your family. And we'll see you next month on time for Christmas. Goodness. Have a great day.